it's Kate Toon here, the head chef at the Recipe for SEO Success, and I feel compelled today to do a little bit of a rant because honestly, people, I'm angry. I have just come off another coaching call with one of my students on the Recipe for SEO Success course, and the story that they told me is oh too familiar. And it is generally about WordPress developers building websites that aren't SEO friendly. And this particular person, the problem is compounded because not only did they pay for a website and a fairly substantial fee, they paid an additional amount for SEO copy and so-called SEO optimization, a substantial sum. Now, the student who has been through the course, she's up to week 6 in the graduate course, the Recipe for SEO Success, having done the tests and used the tools and read all my recommended things, has found so many problems with their site. And as I said, not a cheap site, Australian developer who put themselves out there as a WordPress developer with SEO skills. So let me just tell you some of the issues that we found in the site. And this is just the tip of the tip of the iceberg. So this so-called SEO package, I'm not sure what it included, but this is what wasn't there. The site is WordPress, and yet Yoast had not been installed. There was no other SEO plugin installed, so not all-in-one SEO, nothing. So no Yoast. There was also no sitemap XML, no robots.txt. Now we know that those are 2 files that help Google crawl your site and index pages correctly. They were completely missing. There were no meta descriptions on any pages in any of the site, even though the client had paid for SEO copywriting. The title tags were things like home, about, contact, nothing else. Again, title tags are one of the most powerful ways to get people to click through from the search results, but to me, they're also a powerful way to indicate to Google what the focus of your content is. Completely missing. From the SEO copywriting point of view, supposedly SEO keyword research had been done, and yet phrases such as financial services were recommended. Now that is a body keyword, 2 words in that keyword. The chances of ranking for that in Australia with a brand new website, 0. You would need to go much longer tail. You would look at the competition for that phrase, you would see the authority of those sites, and you would see very quickly that you would have no chance of ranking for that. You would have to add maybe location phrases or extend the phrase. So terrible, terrible keyword research. The page itself, there was no H1 tag, there's no H2 tag. The phrase has not been used in the body copy, or when it has, it's been repeated ad nauseum. Financial services, financial services. No other words, no synonyms. The copy reads like it was written for Google, but a Google maybe of 10 years ago when it cared about keyword density, it never really did, and keyword saturation. The images are named things like logo1275.jpg. They have underscores in them, and also they haven't been compressed. So giant 200 kilobyte images loading to render on the page as 150 by 150 thumbnails. Just basic WordPress development. But those kind of things are going to impact speed. Now on the speed front, the site loads in about 7 seconds, which is appalling. It's a very basic site. It's not pulling in any kind of feeds. It hasn't got any complex functionality. It's a brochureware site. So there's really no excuse for that. And that's being caused by poorly optimized images. And also there's no kind of caching plugin installed. Again, another basic. There was no security plugin installed, so that site can get hacked. The SSL hadn't been done. It's a finance website. And if you look at it in Google Chrome, it comes up as not secure. No backup plugin installed. So if that site crashes, it's gone forever and you're going to have that site completely recreated. The developer also heavily encouraged the client to host with them, which means they own the site. Now, the client has been trying to get the login details and the FTP details of their own site for over a month. And the developer has been sick, has forgotten, has sent the wrong password. Why is that? Because they don't want the client to take over control of their site. And how much are they paying for hosting? $200 a month. Why would you pay that? When with SiteGround, you can get hosting for around $8 a month. Yes, that's, and it's not like they're paying for a dedicated server. They're sharing that server with lots of other people. $200 a month for what? No ongoing support in that, no monthly updates or anything, just hosting. $200 a month. Yep. What else have I got on my list? Really poor usability. So things like, you know, the phone number, you can't click it on a mobile to call it. Giant empty spaces. So when you look at the site on a responsive device, you have to scroll for half an hour to get down the page to actually see the contents. Text embedded into images. Why do people do that? Google can't read text when it's embedded into images. There's more. I could go on. Things not lining up, things shoving out the side, contact forms with no validation, contact forms that don't collect the right things. It is appalling. And this person spent a fair amount of money. I won't go into the figure, but it was, you know, maybe about $5 or $6 grand for an SEO optimized site with SEO copy, and basically doesn't fulfill even the most basic WordPress functionality things. So why does this continue to happen, and what can we do about it? Now, this person was recommended to this client in a networking group. So, you know, someone said, hey, I need a website. Someone else said, oh, this person's great and you should use them. Now, sometimes people recommend people because they are getting affiliate payments. That might not be obvious to you, and they might not be open about that. That is obviously pretty dodgy. You know, you're only recommending someone because you're getting money. But I think generally what happens is that people recommend people to be nice. So maybe they have a great experience working with that WordPress developer and they're a nice person. And from the front, the site looks great. And, you know, I see people putting sites up in the help ladder and that we run in the I Love SEO group every couple of weeks. And on the surface, they look great. But the person who's evaluating that and making the recommendation is possibly, you know, a baker or a plumber, or, you know, they make homemade gifts. They don't know anything about WordPress. They don't know anything about SEO. So they are not judging that website on the right criteria. They are making the recommendation to be nice and to help you, but they are not qualified to make that recommendation. So, you know, if there's one piece of advice that I can give you as a warning tale so that this does not happen to you, is be careful who you get your recommendations from and educate yourself at the very least. You know, read a few blogs, do my 10-day challenge, listen to the podcast, understand what makes an SEO website SEO friendly, and do not work with a web developer who says, I don't do SEO. Because if you don't do SEO, you shouldn't be a web developer. I'm sorry, I'm going to say that categorically. I'm not talking about ongoing SEO where you build backlinks and you write copy and you do blogger outreach. I'm not talking about that aspect. But if you do not know the fundamentals of hosting a site in a fast environment, installing Yoast, installing WordFence, optimizing pages, smushing images, basic website usability, you should not be lying to clients. Now, I know that there's a big attitude out in the entrepreneur world at the moment that we should, you know, talk before we walk. We should, you know, sell ourselves, live big dreams, but we shouldn't make big promises that we can't keep. I'm good at a lot of things, but I'm not good at other things. And I would never, ever take money from someone if I wasn't 100% confident in my abilities, because honestly, that's dishonest. And this is people's money. This is money that could pay for their mortgage, for their food. You're taking money out. It's small businesses that this happens to. I know I sound a bit crazy and a bit angry, because I am. Because I would say 50% of the people who sign up to my course, and now we've had about 330 people take the big course, 50% of them have been burned by web developers who say they can do stuff they can't. Now, I know that there are some amazing WordPress developers. I've met them. I've been to many WordCamps. I love WordPress. The community behind WordPress is amazing. But not all WordPress developers are created equally, just like not all copywriters, not all graphic designers, not all lawyers. Get a recommendation from somebody that you trust, from somebody who's built trust with you. Do not get a recommendation from some random on Facebook or some random at a networking environment, you know. Makes me crazy. So I just wanted to share that. I am not down on WordPress developers. I love you guys. You know, I've been to lots of events, I've spoken about SEO, and I've had many WordPress developers take my course. And for me, those are people you can trust. I hand out a recommended graphic, or I've graduated from the course, and people put that in their footer. And that for me is a stamp that they have not only invested financially in knowledge and learning about SEO, but they've invested in self-improvement. They want to do the best possible job for their client. They don't want to rip people off. So that's the end of my rant. I just wanted to squeeze that in. I can feel my heckles have risen. What's your opinion on this? Does this happen to you? I'd be interested to know in the comments, or any tips that you can share. But yeah, get a good recommendation, educate yourself. Your website is your most important business asset, if you ask me, other than yourself. So do not hand it over to a Muppet. That's my final word. Thanks for watching. Bye.